Running a train in dark territory can be challenging. One small error in judgment, made worse by informal radio exchanges and the lack of technological safeguards, set the stage for tragedy. This is the story of the Gunter train collision. It's May 19th, 2004. 3 BNSF trains were traveling along the single-track Medill subdivision between Irving and Sherman, Texas. 2 were heading north, while 1 was heading south. The first northbound train was BNSF 2917 North, also sometimes referred to as the 641 job. Leading was rebuilt GP39E 2917, a former CB&Q GP35 with another diesel, name and number unknown, and 9 cars. The crew had gone on duty at 7 a.m. The second train was BNSF Rock Train U-SHTIR-B1-19, or BNSF 6351 North. Its destination was Clark, Oklahoma. All units were SD40-2s. Leading was BNSF 6351, followed by 1st Union Lease Unit 8099, another FURX lease unit being former Canadian Pacific number 3052, and BNSF XBN number 7806. All 4 were pulling 65 empty ballast hoppers. The 3-man crew arrived for duty at about 7 a.m. in Sherman Yard. Further up the line in Medill, Oklahoma, BNSF Rock Train U-MAODON1-19, or BNSF 6789 South, with SD40-2 6789 leading, followed by former Santa Fe GP60M 142 and SD40-2 7138. All were pulling 65 ballast hoppers, all loaded with rock. The crew reported for duty at about 10:15 a.m. in Alliance Yard at Fort Worth and headed to Medill by taxi, where they hopped on board the parked locomotives. The Medill subdivision was unsignaled territory, so the crews had to rely on track warrants issued by the dispatcher, and communication was done between the crews and dispatcher by radio or phone. The first northbound train, BNSF 2917 North, had departed from and was working in and around Sherman Yard before traveling south to Salina, Texas. After the crew had completed their work at Salina, they received a track warrant authorizing movement from Salina to the north end of the siding at Dorchester. The dispatcher then told the crew of 2917 that he might hold 6789 South at Dorchester for 2 trains. As planned, 2917 North entered the siding at Dorchester and waited. It met and safely passed BNSF 6789 South. The crew of 2917 North then reported that 6789 South was clear of the main track and that the switch on the south end of the siding had been properly aligned back to the main line. Earlier on, BNSF 6789 South proceeded south to the siding at Lakeside, Oklahoma, where the crew picked up their train of 65 loaded hoppers mentioned earlier. After the crew had completed charging the air brakes, 6789 South departed Lakeside on its way towards Donnie, Texas. As the train neared Denison, the dispatcher issued a track warrant to the crew. This warrant authorized movement from CTC Denison, the point where centralized traffic control ends, to the south end of the siding at Sherman, under track warrant control. The conductor repeated the warrant back to the dispatcher, but was having a hard time confirming the track warrant's accuracy and had to repeat it to the dispatcher a multitude of times. The dispatcher then okayed it, and the train continued as normal. 50 minutes later, a second track warrant was issued to the crew of 6789 South, authorizing movement from the siding at Sherman to the north end of the siding at Dorchester. The southbound train was stopped at the south end of Dorchester on the main track at about 5:39 p.m. when the dispatcher issued a track warrant, number 3598, allowing it to run from the south siding switch at Dorchester to the south end of the siding at Hebron, after 6351 North had arrived there. Track warrant number 3598 with the box 7 not in effect till after the arrival of BNSF 6351 at South SOUTH. Sighting switch Dorchester is okayed at 1739 1739 WHM. Over.
Okay, that's correct. Hey, what time should I have you guys a taxi at Irving back to Fort Worth for? Over.
Probably about 7:30.
19:30. Okay, I'll call you back to confirm. Okay, over.
All right. I'll report south sighting switch Dorchester restored to normal.
Okay. I can't normal it. Because I can't show normal because of that rock train. The Sherman switcher's got a box 7 on you. Okay, over.
Okay. After we get by, we'll let you know.
Here we go. Dispatcher out.
BNSF 6789 then departed Dorchester's siding and accelerated to about 40 miles an hour. Meanwhile, BNSF 6351 North had departed Sherman about 8:50 a.m. and was taking a loaded rock train south to an unloading facility near Irving, Texas, and then returning with empty cars back to Sherman. The train arrived in Sherman at 11:32 a.m. and started its return trip with track warrant authority to the north siding switch at Prosper, with the track warrant stating to stop at the north siding switch at Prosper. At about 5:21 p.m., the dispatcher issued a track warrant to the crew of 6351 North, authorizing it to proceed to the south siding switch at Dorchester with instructions to enter the siding. Now, both trains had clearance to run on the main line, but were heading in opposite directions. Unaware of the impending danger, the crews did not realize that they were on a collision course. They saw each other through the trees as they approached the curve and threw their trains into emergency, but it was already too late. At 5:46 p.m., the two trains collided head-on 3 miles north of the small town of Gunter, Texas. The combined speed of the two trains hitting was 60 miles an hour. All the locomotives of the southbound train derailed, with 6789 itself being totally destroyed. 142 was badly burned in the wreck. 6351 was also derailed and destroyed. The rest of the trailing units received minor damage. One of them ruptured its fuel tank and 3,000 gallons of diesel fuel spilled out and burned. 11 cars of 6351 North's train derailed, while 24 of the loaded rock cars also derailed. The Grayson County Communications Center began receiving dozens of phone calls about the accident. The engineer of 6789 was killed. The conductor was airlifted to Parkland Memorial Hospital in Dallas with severe burns. The crew members from 6351 North suffered various injuries, including broken bones, lacerations, and smoke inhalation. They were transported to Texarkana Medical Center in Sherman, where they were admitted. Estimated property damages exceeded $2 million. So what could have gone wrong? The NTSB launched an investigation into the accident. Representatives from the FRA and BNSF Railway also joined in. The most probable cause of the collision was the crew of the southbound train not adhering to an after-arrival track warrant requiring them to remain at Dorchester until 6351 North had arrived. An after-arrival warrant grants conditional authority, meaning a train may only occupy a specific section of track after the arrival of another train. In the case here, 6789 South was issued a warrant that permitted it to proceed south only after 6351 North had arrived at Dorchester. As it turns out, the crew of 6789 mistook 2917 North mentioned earlier as 6351 North, and the crew incorrectly assumed that this was the train referenced in their warrant. Instead of confirming the identity of the train they had seen or requesting clarification from the dispatcher, the crew just went ahead with the assumption. Were we going the hole there or what?
No. You're gonna hold there till the the Sherman Switcher closes up at Dorchester. They don't take you guys on south to Prosper to meet the Sherman Rock train.
While the dispatcher did technically affirm to the crew that they were to hold at Dorchester, the phrasing lacked precision and failed to reinforce the after-arrival requirement explicitly tied to 6351 North. As shown above, the crew of 6789 never even verified 2917's number as it passed through the siding. Additionally, no positive train control or PTC system was in place at the time. Had it been active, the system could have intervened once it detected that 6789 was violating its warrant limits. Nowadays, the FRA doesn't allow after-arrival warrants in non-signal territories, as it is inherently hazardous, depending entirely on human memory, attentiveness, and precise communication. After the wreck, memorials were held, and BNSF Railway pledged to review its internal safety procedures and make upgrades to the Medill subdivision. In the end, 6351 and 6789 were scrapped as a result of being almost destroyed. 142 was also scrapped after being badly burned. BNSF then got another GP60M and renumbered it to 142. 8099 was repaired and continued to be a lease unit until it was bought by the Indiana Southern Railway in 2013 and is still in service as of today. 3052 was repaired and continued to be a lease unit, and since 2010, the engine has sat in National Railways Equipment Yard in Silvis, Illinois. 7806 was repaired and continued to work for BNSF until being sold to the Ohio Central Railroad and became their number 3339. 7138 was also repaired, repainted, and renumbered into 1936, and kept going for BNSF until it was retired in 2012 and placed into storage. It's been 21 years since the incident, and it would continue to serve as a tragic case study for railroad safety nationwide, of how a single oversight and the absence of technological safety nets could result in irreversible consequences.